Hey folks, I'm here to provide an update on how my knee is doing. It's been almost a year since I got that PRP injection, and the last video update I provided was, 6 weeks post-injection, right? So it's been quite a while, right? And quite a bit has happened, and part of what motivated me to create this video was somebody posted a comment on my last update saying, "Hey, would you recommend getting a PRP injection?" Right? And they explained kind of some of the injuries that they'd had. And I provided a written response there, but I thought it'd be fun just to go into a little bit more detail here in video, right? So if we look at, hey, what has happened since that last video update to today, I would say quite a bit, right? And so, I did end up getting back on the bike, right? I tried to slowly ramp back up. I did do PT. I was seeing a physical therapist regularly, maybe once a week, once every other week, once every 3 weeks, over a 2 to 3 month period, probably closer to a 3 month period. I did go and see a sports massage specialist doing the crazy, painful, deep tissue massage. I was doing that every couple of weeks, through the spring and early summer, kind of trying to do everything I could to get my body right, and my legs right, and my knee right. But as far as, hey, how did my knee feel? It still hurt, right? And so I did end up participating in that July timeframe mountain bike event. It was like a 10, almost 11-hour ride. And then I did do a June timeframe gravel ride too, right? So I would say for the training I did, and then those events, there was always a level of discomfort in my knee, right? That was the same as the pain I experienced as part of the injury, right? So did their PRP injection help? I don't know, right? Like, I think there's no way to know whether it would have hurt more if I didn't get the injection versus, what I ended up getting done, right? I think the lesson learned for me is that for a tendinitis, tendinopathy type issue, you're either going to have to deal with it now or deal with it later, right? And so I made a decision of, I really wanted to ride. I really, want to get exercise, ride with my buddies, do some events. And so I'm going to figure out how to make that happen, right? And what that meant is there was just some discomfort for me kind of the whole time. And there were some kind of longer term negative effects of that, or consequences to that. But as far as delaying the inevitable, it's like, well, you can either take the rest and get the recovery you need now, or do it later, right? So do you want to, like, is there a season or event or something like that you're trying to do? Then maybe you kind of just ride through it, work through it, versus, gosh, I don't want to deal with this for the better part of a year. I just want my knee or injury or whatever to feel better. So I'm just going to take the time off now and maybe miss some things that I'd really been excited to do, right? And so if we remember, all the stuff that I wanted to do was spring, summer, good weather, long days, all this stuff. And it's super hard that time of year to want to say, I'm just going to hang out and focus on my PT, use my resistance bands, do some body weight exercises, those types of things, right? So what ended up happening, right, is getting through those events, getting later in the summer. I kind of got off a structured training plan. It was just kind of riding for fun. And later into late summer, early fall, I developed some IT band issues on the same side, same leg that I had the PRP injection. And that ended up causing some pretty noticeable discomfort on the outside of my right knee, right? And I think part of where that all came from was, I developed some ways to compensate reducing the pain in my right knee while riding. So it's like I'm putting less power through my right leg, which resulted in a physical difference, a measurable difference in muscle mass between my right quadricep and left quadricep, right? And I think that I also kind of just, my form of pedal, like my pedal stroke form, got really poor too, right? The way I was pedaling, the way I was positioned on the bike, right? And so this new kind of IT band outside of knee pain came up in September. And I think for me at that time, it was just a moment of reflection to say, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, this is uncomfortable. This is not fun. This IT band issue, oh my gosh, am I just going to end up setting myself back another year because I'm doing some overuse kind of stuff? So what I ended up doing was finally going to see an orthopedic surgeon, finally getting an MRI on my knee, right? And the outcome from the MRI, for better or worse, was, hey, there's nothing else severe going on in your knee to cause this discomfort. We do see where that tendon injury and healing has, that tendon injury existed and the healing has begun, right? So that reduction of existence of a tear, I guess, within the tendons that I have there in my knee. They did identify some edema, suprapatellar fat pad edema that could have been causing some discomfort, and this was back in September timeframe, September, October. And so I'd made a decision. One thing that they suggested was, we could try as a one-time thing, giving you a cortisone injection, ultrasound guided cortisone injection into where that edema exists, just to try and be really aggressive, or I guess more aggressive, in trying to reduce any sort of lingering inflammation or fluid in your knee to reduce discomfort. And so I used that as an opportunity. I did end up getting that injection, and I used that as an opportunity to take more time off the bike, right? And so I took a good month off the bike, and then recalling back to some of those PT discussions I'd had, 6-9 months prior, I focused on getting back on the bike, really short duration, endurance zone rides, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, staying pain-free in the riding that I was doing. Because even with that cortisone injection, it wasn't like a flip of a switch and everything feels better now. Like, put me back in, coach, cortisone, fix, just mask the issue I had. I'm ready to go. There was still discomfort. So, so I had slowly built myself back up, over the course of the last month or two. And I would say today, right, if we look at almost a year since I got the PRP injection, my knee is actually feeling generally pretty good, right? So I'm able to do, hour-long, 2-hour-long endurance rides, like feeling almost nothing in my knee from the original injury. Side note being that poor form I developed trying to compensate for the knee pain, that's been an area of issue for me that I've needed to address, as far as how I'm pedaling, my knee alignment when I'm pedaling, because I guess what I ended up doing to compensate was the way my knee was tracking through the pedal stroke was really pretty poor and wasn't very kind of vertically aligned, going up and down. And so I went down this path while I was spending time off the bike of diving deep into bike fit, understanding saddle height, position fore and aft, handlebar position, height fore and aft, cleat position in and out, how this affects your how you're pedaling, what muscles are engaging, how your knee's tracking, fooling around with insoles that have more or less arch support. And this is kind of what kept me busy when I wasn't riding, is like, hey, if I'm not doing anything at all, I feel kind of defeated. So I'm just going to kind of continue to learn and tweak and all this stuff, which I think has been a net positive, right? Because I've learned more about how I can make sure I'm most comfortable and efficient on the bike, and that I'm not going to be causing any more issues with poor mechanics on the bike. So that was, I guess, maybe one benefit, right? But today, again, I'm able to do these endurance rides. I'm able to go out and do. This last week I went and pushed pretty hard. I did like a 90-minute outdoor ride, 23 miles. This is a road ride, 23 miles, 1,800 feet elevation. And the climbs that were there, I was really pushing myself, right? Kind of like VO2 max plus kind of power zones. And I came back, And this, I went out, I wasn't taking any pain meds or anything to do the ride, came back, it's like, my knee doesn't feel quite right, a little sore, just kind of around my knee, not necessarily that same, quadricep tendon area. So I did take some ibuprofen, put on some, some anti-inflammatory lotion. The name is escaping me. It can be used for arthritis. And that seemed to help. That made kind of the discomfort go away immediately. And like the next day, walking around and stuff, my knee felt fine, right? And so this is promising for me, that things really do feel like they're, trending positively. And I feel like I can have a lot stronger cycling season this year because I'll have more time to train and all this stuff, right? So I realize I'm rambling a bit. And if I go back to the question of, would you recommend getting a PRP injection? I would say maybe, right? I would say any sort of injection is not like a cure-all. It's not like you wave the magic wand and you're good to go. I think the benefit of getting a PRP injection is it causes a bunch of inflammation. The instructions you get is you have to stay off that leg or that limb or whatever, and it requires you to rest, right? So I think for me, resting has probably been the most helpful thing out of anything that I've done, right? And I think a lesson learned for me, right, is to go to the ortho first, right? Go get an MRI first. Where I went to PT, the PT referred me to a doc that specializes in PRP injections. So this person was very much saying, PRP is the way. I've seen this 100 times or 1,000,000 times. This is going to make you better. You're going to be like good to go. Right, that's their business. They got to sell the PRP, right? And so, a couple lessons learned there, right? And so, for anybody that's watching this and saying, "Should I get this done? Oh my gosh, I'm dealing with an injury." Like, I feel your pain. Like, I've been there. Like, this has been over a year process for me. It's probably been this long because I refused to really stop riding or doing that activity for an extended period of time. So I've kind of put myself in this extended recovery situation because of that. But I know how difficult it can be to say, gosh, there's this thing that I love to do, that I'm passionate about, that makes me feel good. I can exercise endorphins. I can be more present with my friends and family. I sleep better, all this stuff. And I'm not able to do this because of an injury. Like, it is super hard, right? So that's been my experience, and not so much of a nutshell because I tend to ramble. But I hope that this is helpful, right? A helpful perspective for folks to say, this is something I'm considering. Should I do it or not? And obviously, it's like a pretty low risk procedure too, as far as I've read and understand. This is my personal opinion. So it's kind of like, what's the harm of it? But it's not just gonna make it magically go away. It's been my experience. So that's it. That's my update. Hope this helped, and best of luck. Thanks.